Hello guys and welcome to the last lesson of the CoffeeScript Foundations course of Race Karate. As always, don't forget to follow me on Twitter. I'm at Bastian Belandia. We are also at Race Karate. So look for us on Facebook. We are also in our blog racekarate.com, where you will find the transcript of all the lessons, including this video. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel and to our newsletter, Create Your Startup with One Email a Week. In this lesson, we'll be talking about JSON, JavaScript object notation, and it's gonna be amazing to learn about it. We are just going to give you an introductory or open the doors for something more complex, whole world of complexity that contains JSON. But for now, we are just going to explain you how we use objects in CoffeeScript or JavaScript for JSON. Before start, let's solve the coffee challenge of the previous lesson. If you remember, it was about create a list of clients or an array of objects that contains clients information and allow the user to search by name and show the result in HTML. Okay, so let me show you how you can achieve this challenge. First, we created a new HTML file in our clients directory on here in the C9 workspace, and we have here the persons.html. So first of all, we just copied the other HTMLs that we have, and we included the persons.js file in order for work our new script. We created a new coffee file called persons.coffee. So I'm going to open it. Make sure that you have running the command, don't forget that. Let's open persons.coffee, and here I have the solution working. So allow me to explain to you how we did it. So we just created an array of objects. You can see here that we have the arrays symbol, it's our brackets, and we have curly braces here for indicate that we have an object here. We have an object, we have a second object here, third object. We have in total 5 objects. Okay, so each object has its properties, and we saved each position of the array is an object. So next, I created 2 functions, one for search, another for print the found person. Okay, so the first method will be an iteration in an array, in the array that's gonna come here in this parameter, that will be the person's array, and then we iterate with a for in loop, and we check if the name of the current item is the same name of the receive as parameter here in the function. If they are equal, so we return the item. If we iterate through the array of persons and we do not find the person, so we return null. Next, we have the print person. It's pretty simple. We are using a for of loop that we saw in the last in the previous lesson. So we have to iterate over each property value pair and print, and we use some HTML markup here for print the values, and then we just print to the document or to the HTML what we have here. And last, we have here the loop. This is where the program is running actually. We ask the user to enter a name. We have a loop break here, and if there is a search name variable, I mean if the user didn't left empty the prompt, so we call the search method and we turn the person's array and the name and the search name the user inputs. So if found, it means if we do not have null here, remember we return null when we do not find anything. So we print an alert telling the user that there are no results, and else, I mean if actually we found an item, so we call the print person method, and that's it. We will break the loop until search name is empty. I mean, until the user leaves the prompt empty. So I'm going to preview this sorry, no, this is not the one. Persons.html, let's preview it. Okay, so we're going to search by name, and let's search Sebastian. And as you can see, we got here we have the printed HTML. What happens if I enter all the same name, all in capital letters? You can see that we print again, just below the same. And what happens if we do not enter anything? So it says there are not results. That was the challenge. So if I leave this empty, just we finished. So we found first time Sebastian, second time we found the two. You can try and play with these, add more fields, try to search by other field, by other property object, and that will be fine. Now let's start talking about JSON. I'm going to close this. As you know, an object gives us only one location for save lots of information, and allows us to organize that information easily using property value pairs. In fact, the two objects give us a great way to store and access data. They have become one of the most popular models for data exchange on the web called JSON. It is very used, for example, for exchange data between the browser and the web server, or even exchange data between two web servers. Let's look for a very known API called Twitter. So let's look for the Twitter API. Here is Twitter for developers. Okay, let's go down and click on REST APIs. So click here and you will find all that Twitter has for us. And let me explain you. You can create, for example, a web server program like in PHP, Java, Ruby, or whatever that runs on the server and tag with the social network Twitter. For example, if we look here, you can go or get information about the user. You have here get users show. You can, for example, ask from your program to Twitter to ask information about a user. So here we have an example of all the documentation, and below is the example result. So this is the way we make the request, but this is advanced. We are not going to talk about the request, but what we want to see is the result that Twitter returns. As you can see, if you see all this stuff, this is pretty similar to a JavaScript or CoffeeScript object. Just that in JavaScript we use commas, we use more markup, but in CoffeeScript we have less markup, but it's essentially the same. So you can ask Twitter to send information about a certain user, and Twitter will answer in JSON language or JSON format. And we have a lot of stuff here that we can do with the Twitter API. For example, we can get the favorites of a certain user. The last 20, as you can see, the last 20 most recent tweets favorited by the user or by the authenticated user or a specified user. And as you can see here, you will get back a response in JSON format. So basically, JSON is a JavaScript object in a where you can store any information and you can communicate through this format with web servers along the web. When we get back a result like this, we can easily convert this to a JavaScript object, or a CoffeeScript in this case object. Or not only a JavaScript, we can even convert it to Ruby, to any other language object you can know. So you can manipulate it and get the information you need from any web server or API. Let's see a very simple request so you can understand what I'm talking about. Let's look for example, the relationship of between two users. Let me show you. We can check the relationship between two users, looking for friendships, friendships lookup, and this request is pretty short, and we can know the, as you can see here, the relationship between two users. And oh well, it's not, it's show, get friendships, show. So you will have the detailed information about the relationship between two arbitrary users. And as you can see, this is a pretty small request, and this is basically an object. As you can see, we have here the first property of the object, and this property has another object inside that is this object, and that object has another property, and that property has another object that is this one. And this object has all these properties that will tell us information about the target, that is the, you know, is between two users. So this is the target user and this is the source user. So as you can see, this relationship attribute or property has an object in the first time, and then we have another property called source that is at the same level of relationship, and we have another object within that property that is all these stuff, and we have tons of properties within that object. So this is how it works. So we can ask Twitter for this information through a REST API. We are going to learn about APIs later on in another courses, but I just want you to know that objects can be useful for all things like this. So you're watching or you're seeing an application of objects. However, you see it is an object, but it isn't an object itself. I mean, JSON is a series of characters, letters, numbers, and symbols inside of quote marks, and you know that is the definition, or yes, the concept of string, because JSON is just that, it's a string. The difference is that JSON is a string with the format of a JavaScript of objects. So JSON is a string that has a JavaScript object format that can be easily converted to a pure JavaScript or CoffeeScript or any other language object. Once converted, you can use it as any other object. Well, that's all. This has been a short introduction to a more complex topic called APIs, because we need to know that JSON the format of the JSON is a format of objects. And we could see an application of objects in this format called JSON. So this will be very useful when we start talking about APIs. So this is just an appetizer that what is coming next. Well, this is the last lesson of this CoffeeScript Foundations course. If you haven't already, go to the article of the video, go to the end, scroll to the end, and you will find this link here, or you will find it in the description of the YouTube video, or in an annotation of the corner, in this corner of the video. You will find there the link to the coffee quiz, and you will practice the last concept we saw. Take the quiz. Once you pass the quiz, drop us a line on Twitter with the coffee quiz hashtag, and see you next course. The next course will be about jQuery basics. We will start talking about more complex stuff, what is jQuery and how to add interactivity to our Rails applications. We are not learning Rails at the moment, but we will very soon. We are just learning all other stuff that we need before going further with Ruby and Rails. So don't worry. I hope you're not in a hurry, because these topics are pretty important to you as a developer. So we want to convert you in a great samurai. I mean, and we're teaching you karate for developers. Okay? See you next course, and have a happy coffee quiz. Bye bye.